So what are the lessons for Africa and what are the challenges facing the African continent when it comes to poverty reduction? Let's listen to Adhere Calvince, a scholar of international relations with a focus on China-Africa relations. He spoke to us via Zoom from right here in Nairobi.
China has lifted over 890 million people out of poverty, and that is constituting over 70% of the global population that has been lifted out of poverty. And so if you look at it in terms of the international efforts to eradicate poverty, then it makes a very, very significant milestone. And then another thing that we can learn from what President was saying was the importance of fashioning a whole of society approach to this idea of poverty eradication. In most places around the world, you hear talking points and leaders speaking about what they wish to see. But in terms of doing a pragmatic approach, in terms of having tangible targets and then following up with evaluation mechanisms that can bear results, is very limited in so many parts of the world. And so when you see the Chinese experience, then you get an idea that this is a country that knew what it wanted to do, set very clear targets, set a very rational and pragmatic evaluation mechanisms, and are able to hold themselves to account and to achieve that on target. And the fact that China was becoming extreme poverty free at a time of a serious challenge of the COVID-19 pandemic was simply astounding. I remember many societies right now are experiencing what we call economic recession. You know, China was the only major country, for example, to realize positive economic growth. So the idea that they are realizing this kind of milestone on the backdrop of a very serious global health crisis is something that all societies should be, in a position to learn from. We can better target the idea of poverty alleviation. And you also listen to him talk about the role of prudent utilization of national resources, including cutting out vices like corruption, which has been a major point of concern for many countries in the developing South and even the developing North. The idea that public resources are not invested in the most productive sectors or wasted instead of being invested productively is something that he mentioned in his speech. And I think this is a takeaway that governments need to be clear in terms of their efforts to eradicate graft. Government needs to be clear in terms of targeting their investments. They need to be pragmatic in terms of the investment they are doing. Remember, in his speech, presidency really underscored the need to avoid what he called vanity projects or populist projects. But they have to be projects that are really rational. They have to be projects that are feasible. They are projects that can give returns where the public money has been invested. The whole of society has to be interested and invested with the idea of poverty eradication. This is not a task for government alone. It's not a task for the farm level, but it has to go to the community level, the families level. And even individuals must do what they have to do in a joint effort to eliminate poverty.